We're on.
Test, test. Good morning, everybody.
Test.
The time is 10:21, September 7th, here at the Laredo Public Library. I'm calling the order the Board of Entry Advisory Committee. And we'll move to roll call. Ms. Monica Salinas?
Here.
Carlos Fernandez?
Here.
Ricardo Cervantes?
Present.
J.D. Gonzalez? Not here. Orfelio Quintanilla?
Here.
Luis Hinojosa?
Here.
Rick Laurel?
Present.
Arturo Dominguez here. Emilio Richer?
Here.
Jean Lingred? Absent. Rodolfo Garza?
Here.
Robert Morris Jr.?
Here.
Jason Hinojosa? Y Gerardo Maldonado. Let the record show that the quorum of the committee members is present, that this meeting is duly called, and that the notice of the meeting was posted in accordance with the Texas Meetings Open Act. Is there a flag? No flag?
We can face north.
We can face north?
That's what it usually is.
Can we stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Mr. Chairman, if I may, if you can acknowledge Mr. David Puig, he is
David
our
Puig.
international bank.
The lady in
Sorry.
red?
Yes.
Mr. Puig, sorry. David Puig. Facing north, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Citizens' comments? Ms. Limon, do we have any comments? No?
I don't think we heard you.
Ms. Limon, any comments? Citizen comments?
Miss Limon.
Any citizens' comments? No? Richard? Thank you. We'll move on. Next, approval of the minutes. Do I hear a motion to approve
Motion.
minutes?
I just have
Approve.
a comment first.
Sure.
Before we move to accept them.
Yeah.
On the attendance, it shows that Ray Cavazos was here, it should be Jorge Cavazos.
We'll make the change. Any other changes?
Move to approve?
Motion to approve by Mr. Laurel,
Second.
second by Monica Salinas. Any comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Next item in the agenda, presentation by Dr. Marco Gonzalez regarding the Port of Columbia and the creation of a working group to expand the Columbia Solidarity Bridge and any others matters incident thereto. Mr. Doctor, bienvenido, welcome.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Thanks
the
for
record.
having me. Today I will briefly explain to you the plan that the state of Nuevo León has for our border. We're planning to build a logistic city on both sides. It will benefit the city of Laredo. We have the advantage that the city of Laredo has two borders, one with Nuevo Laredo and one with Nuevo León. We should start talking not about two Laredos, but three Laredos. City of Laredo, Nuevo Laredo, and Colombia Laredo. We brand our bridge or our port, originally was called Puente Colombia. Now it's called Puerto Colombia Laredo, because we're part of Laredo. We border with Laredo, Texas. And that's something we need to emphasize, because all the statistics that are giving national and international wise, we're also included on those numbers. And we also have the benefit that ANAM is going to come to Nuevo Laredo. So Nuevo Laredo is going to become the capital city of the aduanas, and Colombia is going to become the capital city of logistics. So the city of Laredo has the best of two worlds. National context, just to emphasize, we are becoming, especially with Ciudad Juárez, in income tax collection. That's one way of measuring how important Colombia Solidarity Bridge is. We're currently in second place, usually second and third place. Juárez sometimes goes to second place. Colombia goes to second place. We're there always closely tight in this last year, but just to emphasize that Juarez has 7 international crossings and Nuevo León only has 1. Juarez has 6 with Texas and 1 with New Mexico, and Nuevo León only has 1 simple bridge with the city of Laredo. Here are the numbers, how they're in the tax collection, how they're showing its growth. Obviously, Nuevo Laredo is always going to be number 1, and we're not competing with Nuevo Laredo. Each port has its own unique clients. We're emphasizing for clients that do not need to stop in the city of Laredo. For all those clients that need to go up north from Cotula all the way north to I-35, use the Columbia Bridge. It will be a good strategy to decongest Mines Road, especially because the World Trade Bridge and the Columbia Bridge are causing that Mines Road soon or already is collapsing. This is the reality of Mexico. These are unfortunately, that's how the situation is in security. In the short, medium, and long term, I don't see how our neighboring state of Tamaulipas will change. And that it's something we have to deal with. And we have to work with this reality. Coahuila and Nuevo León are in green. Obviously, it does not exempt us that we could become orange or red. We're working in a very tight strategy so Nuevo León does not get contaminated with Tamaulipas and we become in an orange zone. So we have to work to maintain it green, and this will guarantee a mobility of 24 hours, something that the other crossings cannot guarantee. And I'm going to explain to you why all the highway master plan that we're doing that ends in Colombia is going to make that this crossing will become the logistic capital of both sides of the border. As you already know, Nuevo León is becoming it's already the #1 state in Mexico of the nearshoring. After the Tesla announcement, it's incredible how many companies are coming into Nuevo León. As a state government, we're amazed that every day multinationals are coming, and we as a state are very worried because we have to provide all the infrastructure needed as water, highways, security, schools, hospitals, and so we have to make this. We have to comply with all our new clients to make them feel happy in Nuevo León, but also that they made the right decision to invest in the best state of Mexico. Nuevo León is very similar to Texas. Nuevo León is #1 and Texas is #1, so that's the way we could make this work better. The connectivity. These are all the highways that had to be done in the last 30 years, but never were done. Why? Because we were always hoping that the federal government would pay for them. Well, guess what? The federal government for 30 years never paid for them. So the only way to get this to become a reality was for the state to finance its own highways. So what Governor Samuel Garcia decided to do is to, with its own state resources and in a multi-annual program, to start building 5 strategic state highways that will end up in Colombia, and it has their dates of opening. For example, the Anillo Periférico was already open. Interserrana, which is on the lower, which is on the opening on 2026, it's 87 kilometers. That's the most complicated highway because it's in the middle of the Sierra Madre, and there's going to be a lot of tunnels and bridges. The Gloria Colombia is opening this December. We're making sure that this highway could guarantee all the traffic that is stopping right now on Highway 85. It's amazing if you go from Monterrey to Nuevo Laredo on kilometer 105, where the toll booths are. There are more than 1,000 trucks sleeping at night there on the side of the road, wrongly, because they're not supposed to be sleeping there, waiting for the sunlight to come out so they can go into Tamaulipas. So what we want to guarantee is all those trucks that are stopping and are wasting 10 hours because they cannot go into Tamaulipas because of the security issues, use the Colombia Highway, and then we can guarantee that all the trucks arrive in Colombia 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, and start preparing everything to start crossing at 8 a.m. I know it's a very ambitious program, and I know that security issue is the main issue. If we get contaminated with a security issue, everything that I'm talking to you right now will go to the trash. So that's why we're emphasizing that the Gloria Colombia needs to be very secure. There's going to be every 20 kilometers checkpoints with the Fuerza Civil and Guardia Nacional to make sure that all the dodgy groups that are in that area do not try to go into Colombia. We're also working on Highway 1, which is, starts in Monterrey and Salinas Victoria on the left-hand side. It's another way to get into Colombia. And we're also putting the dates in every segment of the highways, and they're around $1.4 billion investing of state resources. Also, in our highways, we're starting to announce Highway 255 and I-35. We're the only Mexican state that are making advertisements for Texas highways, because we want to make sure that all the trucks that are going into Nuevo León already know that the fastest way to go to Texas and up north is through our border. Our strategy is to make Nuevo León, Monterrey, the safest corridor with the 5 most important cities of Texas, which is Laredo, San Antonio, Austin, Dallas, and Houston. That's our main emphasis, to make the connectivity between Monterrey and those 5 cities. And of course, Laredo is the main actor in this scenario, because all of our crossings are going to go through Laredo, Texas, through Webb County. The numbers, they're going up without the Gloria Colombia, especially on the truck sites, more than 2 digits. And especially if you can see on March 31st, on the trucks, on the cargo, that's when the Tesla announcement was made. And in April, it went 23% up. And since then, it has been up 2 digits. We're forecasting that our numbers are going to completely start going in a faster manner once in January next year, once the highway is already open. Also on the tourist side, on the normal passenger sides, the numbers are going up. This has to do a lot because of the vaccination program that was done in the middle of the bridge. A lot of people from Nuevo León didn't know that we had a border with Texas. And now with the vaccination program, they realize that we have a border and it's faster to go through Laredo using it. We made this study. TxDOT did not have this study, and these are amazing numbers because Colombia is contributing to the chaos happening to Mines Road. Over 87,000 trucks are crossing through Colombia, and 60% are taking a right-hand side going into Mines Road. So we're also contributing with World Trade to make Mines Road a total chaos. So we have to emphasize and make a strategy for both bridges and tell our customers that if you want to go to the city of Laredo, use World Trade Bridge. But if you want to go up north and you don't want to stop to the city of Laredo, use the Columbia Bridge. And if we have that in a very organized manner, trust me, the city of Laredo is going to earn more money, more income, and the cargo is going to cross more faster on both bridges. But right now, there's not a strategy, and you could see trucks crossing the World Trade Bridge that are going up to Chicago, and you see trucks crossing through Colombia that are going to Mines Road. So it's not a very good communication strategy that we need to have on those ports. We have the opportunity, we already know the owners on the Mexican side, on the American side, who is who on each side. The advantage of this area is that all virgin territory. There's no development. So we can really design an ideal logistics city. There's no other opportunity in other side of the border in the whole country of the US or Mexico that we can have the opportunity to design this. We can do it right now. And we have TxDOT supporting us in this, and of course, the city of Laredo is also showing a great interest of how we can develop all that area, especially in the US side, which is the Webb County, all that 255 corridor, start beginning to see it as a great potential to start investing. This is basically on the Mexican side, which are the greens are private landowners, and the green ones, the yellow ones is ejido. It's a different land tenure that we have in Mexico. We have already identified, and we're negotiating as a state buying land on the Mexican side, because we have a project of an airport, of a railway station, and we also want to make sure that on those Mexican side that you see, there's no speculators going in to buying land and just wait 20 or 30 years as it happened on the Columbia Bridge. Any investor that is going to buy land there, we need to know who is he and which project are they going to make. So we can approve it and we can see that this 14 kilometers of the Mexican side will develop in a very fast manner. Basically, this is our border master plan. You could see we're going to basically also move the city of, well, the little town of Colombia. Do you have a marker to, no? The city of the little town of Colombia, it's here. It's those little squares, and we're going to move it here. We don't want any population living beside the river, but we don't want to have any social problems which has housing projects on the border. If you see all the borders that are happening with Mexico, Tijuana, Ciudad Juárez, Laredo, or Matamoros or Reynosa, their housing complex are under the bridge or beside the bridge. Here we're going to move the whole population on the southern part, and we're going to leave all that area from Highway 2 up to the river as a big industrial park. From here all the way over there, with free trade zones, logistic centers, patios, and we can design the ideal place to do business. And on the southern part of Highway 2, that's where we're going to have the population and also the train project. Well, the way we're visualizing is that the high executives and the medium executives are going to live in the Laredo side, probably very close to the golf course that is there on the max, on that area. All that development is going to become very interesting because all that part is going to become a strategic area for the city of Laredo, because this is going to bring a lot of business, and we know that the U.S. Executives are not going to live in Mexico. They're going to want to live in Laredo, and they're not going to want to live here in Plantation or near here. They want to live near there. So that's how it's going to benefit also the city of Laredo to develop all that territory that is not developed. What we're currently doing on the port. Okay. We're sorry about getting. Bueno, ahí está. What we're doing on the port, as you already know Colombia, all of you guys, right?
Yeah.
All of you know Colombia? Yes? From here to the bridge is 2 kilometers. What we're doing right now is we're doing housing projects here, because we also have a problem. At 6 p.m., Colombia, there's no activity. Everyone goes home. So there's also, we're wasting an opportunity to have a 24-hour port. Our biggest challenge is labor. So what we're doing right now is building the housing complex here, so we can tell the companies that are already here, which hire more than 1,000 employees, to have three 24-hour shifts. Because most of the people working on the port come from Nuevo Laredo. So at 6 o'clock they go home, and we need to have this also ready by by February. We also change our image, where Governor Garcia is coming tomorrow to open our checkpoint. This was part of the strategy we negotiated with Governor Abbott, which we had to have a security checkpoint before crossing. It's very similar to the I-35 crossing between Laredo and San Antonio. Border Patrol and CBP were the ones that assess us on how to do it, and we also want to be intercambiando. We're going to be exchanging information of license plates and everything with CBP, so everyone knows when you cross there, CBP will already know who's going to come across. We're also going to start a pilot program called Global Freight, which basically with US companies like Tesla, John Deere, Navistar, Lego, we're going to start a program in which basically they're going to be able to cross in an automated process without any papers showing.
only specific companies. And we also gonna have in this checkpoint making sure there's no migration issues. We're gonna be asking people there for their visas. If you don't have a visa, sorry, don't even get close to the toll booths. You need to go back. If there are gonna be any migration uprisings like there has been in Reynosa, Matamoros, or Juarez, they will already know that Colombia is not a way to get across. We also are expanding our toll booths from 7 to 13. We already started that. This is part of the works that need to do for the expansion of the bridge. And we also have Fuerza Civil, a big quartel being built from 35 police. Now there's going to be 350 police sleeping in Colombia, making sure nothing happens in Colombia. So as you could see, the state government is betting everything into this border. We're making a great effort to win that time that we lost for 30 years and making sure that this occurs in a very fast manner. As you already know, in this region, we're the only crossing that have the unified cargo processing. This also makes a big difference with the other crossings. We have to take advantage of this. I don't know how long we're going to be the only ones in this region to have this processing, but in the meantime, we need to take advantage of this, and we need to emphasize also on this. When we took office, there were around 3,400 crossings. Right now, we need to update. Right now, there's 6,000 crossings going on in Colombia. When the Gloria Colombia is going to open, we're going to go up 8,000 crossings. Just to have an idea, Nuevo Laredo has 16,000 crossings. So we're going to be half of Nuevo Laredo with only one bridge and in the middle of nowhere. So we already know that the numbers are going to go up, and we need to start thinking about the expansion, and that's why I'm here. To tell you guys, first of all, that we already have the concession for 30 more years. We got it a week ago from the federal government. In a very formal manner, we got 30 more years. And to also tell you that we have the money necessary needed to finance what it needs to finance from the Mexican side. On this part of the project, we're not going to ask for federal resources because we don't want to waste time on the bureaucratic procedures of asking. We already have the money. We're already ready to start, and we're ready to work with the city of Laredo as we have always been working. Just our customers, you mostly already know, and emphasizing that also I'm going to have a meeting with Agente Aduanales from Nuevo Laredo to tell them that this is a big opportunity for the region. That if we make a strategic strategy of emphasizing which cargo needs to go into which bridge, we could facilitate to the city of Laredo for more investments to come in. Right now, it's a total chaos. There's no order of which crossing goes through which port. And I can guarantee you, if we can organize this in a very strategic manner in which everyone's going to win money, because at the end of the day, this is what moves a lot of people, or most people, the money issue. So we're going to tell them that if we can try to concentrate all the cargo that needs to go up north through Colombia and make sure that the customers already know that especially on the fruits and veggies, we already have a big project from the city of Laredo, Garros, se llama Garros, which is right now underutilized. We need to make sure that facility it's 100%. We're making a lot of strategy in FAR Texas to let them know that Colombia should become the agri crossings to Texas, not FAR. It should be Colombia. We already have the facilities there. We have Garros there, and we need to make sure that all the unified processing cargo process, they see the advantages Colombia has to offer. Just to conclude, Port of Laredo and Colombia Laredo form the same part of one strategy. 30 years passed in which the Puente Colombia, wrongly named, used to be seen as an abandoned kid, as an abandoned child, which was there when they mostly needed it. But right now we form part of Laredo. we're raising our hand. Not talk 2 Laredos, we're 3 Laredos. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Just for the record, I didn't want to interrupt you, but can you state your name,
Perdón.
please?
My name is Marco Antonio González Valdez, Regional and Agricultural Secretary for the State of Nuevo León.
I'm going to introduce you the board, so you have an idea who you were speaking to. Can you start with Monica Salinas, ladies first? And we'll go around.
Monica Salinas, chairperson of LUSPAC and appointed by the mayor.
Hermilo Richer, agente aduanal and chair, member District 7.
Rick Laurel, U.S. Customs Broker, member of District 6.
Luis Hinojosa, president of Unitrade, representing District 5.
Arturo Dominguez, U.S. Custom Broker.
Orfelio Martínez Quintanilla, Custom Broker and Co-Chairman.
Ricardo Cervantes, representante del Distrito 2.
Carlos Fernández, transportista, presidente de la Asociación de Transportistas de Carga de Nuevo Laredo y del Consejo Nacional Ejecutivo de Canacar. Bienvenido, Marco.
Gracias, compadre.
My name is Robert Morris, and I'm the president of the Laredo Licensed U.S. Customs Brokers Association.
Mi nombre es Rodolfo Garza y soy secretario de ALFA y represento también a la Asociación de Agentes Aduanales de Nuevo Laredo.
And I'm David Puig, market president for Vantage Bank in Laredo and El Paso, Texas.
Thank you. Congratulations, a very excellent presentation, very detailed in your Port of Columbia. We were giving, I want to thank you for taking your time here. I know you have a busy schedule. City Council gave us the task to do a working group with you so that we can start with the expansion. I spoke to Secretary Joe Valdez to see if more than 4 or 5, because it's a quorum, that we could meet in this work group, and he said yes, as long as we just stick to the expansion topic and we don't talk about anything else. So I'm gonna ask everybody who would like to form to be part of this working group so that we could put a date for the next meeting. We have a lot of things to discuss. I mean, we had experiences in the past when we had the blizzard, the storm, and that everything moved to Columbia, and we had a very good learning experience with that on the Port of Columbia. So the discussions will be, I think, pretty good. So can I have a show of hands? Monica? Mr. Laurel? ¿Quién más? Milo?
Arturo.
Orfelio?
Mr. Bruno.
Mr. Orfelio?
You
Luis?
gonna keep it at 4 or you do?
No, we can have as many as we can.
You could
Whoever
add
wants
Mike.
to join can join, as long as we stick to just the topic of the expansion. Robert? I guess everybody, no?
Looks like everybody.
Rodolfo? And so I could send an email when we have meetings and stuff like that.
I have a question.
Carlos, ¿quieres decir?
I have a question. I didn't see a time frame. Like, what projection do you see in the next 20 years, 10, 5? What? I know you guys are running full speed ahead right now, and the Camino La Gloria is almost complete. But what projection do you see this going? How long time frame?
Well, on our highways, there are the dates, just from the highways. But we're really worried of the numbers that we're seeing. As I told you, by the next year, in the first trimester, our numbers are going to go up from 6,000 crossings. I'm talking about export and import, not only export.
Yeah.
We're going to go up easily 9,000 crossings.
I was more focused towards the whole project at the bridge site, like everything that you had mentioned.
Oh, you mean in this
Yeah,
one?
I saw the dates on the highways, but like the whole project area that you had
Here.
said.
Oh,
Yes,
there.
that right there.
We have our most challenging of this project currently right now is going to be, we have different phases. Our priority is the expansion of the bridge, which talking to,
Sid.
your name again?
Sid Milton.
Sid. It's going to probably take us, I don't want to be very optimistic, but we wanted to get this done as fast as we can. But they told us that there's an environmental
thing that U.S. has to do and all these procedures. We want to tell you that we're ready to do whatever it needs to do, and we want to hire people that already know what they're doing. So I'm already gonna get contact with whatever company you guys advise me to contact to work on the bridge project. And we also, that's our priority. Our second priority is starting the labor issue. On this issue, we're starting to buy the land here. So if you're telling me which one are time frames, we need to have everything established by January 2027 at the most. All the projects, the intermodal railway station, the starting of the new Columbia town. But our main project currently right now is on this side of the border, this side of the highway up, is knowing who is who that want to invest there. There's a lot of people from Nuevo León that want to invest there, and they're presenting the projects. As you know, here's basically abandoned land, but it's ejido land, so it's very complicated to buy. The state is working with ejido to make a strategy to make sure the selling procedure goes easily, but also we don't want any speculators here. Because when the Columbia Bridge started, a lot of people bought land there on purpose, so nothing would happen there. So what we want to make sure is learn from our past mistakes and know which companies that go there. For this project, for the loop project that are going to be built, that's going to be built in next year, and all the infrastructure concerning the highways need to be ready by May 2024. So basically, our priority, to summarize, is the highways, which will be done. The expansion of the bridge, we need to get started now. Basically, you guys are going to tell me what path I need to follow so we don't lose so much time. You guys have more experience in this. You have the World Trade expansion experience, learning from the mistakes and from the successes of that process. We can save a lot of time, and we can also, we're also working on the airport. We already have a climate meteorological station sending information to Mitre. Mitre is a non-profit corporation in DC, which are the ones that design different airports around the world. And we're already designing the airspace on that border, so we can have all the planes that are going to arrive in Colombia not flying over the U.S. territory, because if they fly over the U.S. territory, that's going to take more time on getting permissions. So basically, there's going to be a cargo airport, but also, possibly, and you're going to think I'm crazy. We're not crazy. A little bit, but not that much. We're planning to, have you guys been to Tijuana?
Yes.
Ever? Have you crossed the CBX ever?
Yes.
A little CBX here. The Nuevo Laredo airport is never going to work. Let's be realistic. No American is going to go to that airport and cross 32 kilometers to use it. Right now there's only one flight a day. And no Texans are going to go there. So the Americans were the ones that gave us the idea. Grupo El Pacífico that manages Tijuana, we're talking with them, and they said we should try also with a little CBX. That's also a medium-term project, but we have it there. And we already know more or less where that little bridge, passenger bridge, is going to be. There's a lot of projects. We're landing each project as its individual, but right now the main emphasis is the expansion of the bridge. That's where we should concentrate. We have other people working on the other projects. I want to explain everything to you so you already know that this logistic city is a reality, and we can build it together. The city of Laredo and Nuevo León. We have once of a lifetime opportunity to do this, because the state of Nuevo León is really prioritizing this. I don't know, the next state government will do the same. I hope it will, because we will from my same party, but I hope it will continue. But we have 4 more years left, so we have to do everything we need to do in 4 years.
Dr.
Then,
Gonzalez.
Marco, quick question. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't, sorry.
No,
Go ahead.
Two questions. Is that going to be a cargo airport, or is it going to be a passenger airport?
Both, mostly cargo.
Mostly cargo.
It was born as a cargo airport, but then the Americans, the meter told us that we should think big, not just concentrate on cargo. And they're the ones that told us everything that is happening on the Nuevo Laredo airport. And if you realize that, it's amazing that the most important land port of all the world does not have a functional airport in the Mexican side. It's really amazing. There's not a functional airport on the Mexican side.
And on the developable acres, how many are there by the airport, the area that you wanted to develop for warehousing and distribution? How many acres is that, and have you all already started pushing dirt?
We have 14 kilometers border. Let me show you the, hold on. Unfortunately, the landing strip, and I have to be honest with you, is on the ejido land. This complicates a little bit because this is private owned, this is private owned. In the ejido, we have to make negotiations. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's more hard. We're already starting to talk to them. We're already starting to buy land, and we already know where the land, and this should be updated. It's going to be 2 landing strips. We need to leave everything. Our priority as a state government is to leave the foundations for the next government to continue. But they already would know what's the plan on that side of the border. That's why we're hiring HDR. I don't know if you guys know HDR. It's a consultant firm that was hired by TxDOT, which was the one that made the Texas infrastructure border plan. In that study, it's very general, talking about the whole border with Texas, with Mexico. In our study that we're going to pay, it concentrates on what needs to be done on both sides of the border with a logistic view. How can we emphasize having this vision of getting most products across the U.S. in a faster manner, but also organizing a logistics center that will become the most attractive for American investors to come to the Mexican side.
Mr. Richet?
Yeah, Marco, just quick question on the other picture. The yellow part, is that's a highway to La Gloria? Where the loops are in the corner, and then down, south?
Very good question. This is Highway 1.
That's La Gloria.
La Gloria, Colombia.
Perfect.
So basically, what we need to have some loops here, because right now it's currently beginning a lot of traffic here, especially with Larmex here. Larmex is growing. Over 2,000 trucks are sleeping here, and we have to make a different, probably a different entry. Yeah. It's going to go through here, and then going to go. We're already seeing that it's going to become a chaos also on the Mexican side, but we have time to decide it.
But you're asking about the yellow section, right?
Yeah, that road, that was the Gloria road. Yeah,
you mean this one, right?
Yeah, that road right. I just wanted to see where the Gloria or highway number 1 was, which is that right there. Okay.
That was the inspections.
And then another quick thing, and it's great, your enthusiasm you've been showing the Laredo community and Colombia for the past 18 months has been great. It looks like you guys are on top of the game and you're trying to do this, and I'm glad to hear the Colombia, Laredo, and it's always like that. It's sadly, for many, many years, a lot of people have the Colombia against Laredo, and it shouldn't be like that. We would love to be the logistics hub of the world. We're 2 big cities, and you're never going to compete against Laredo. And I know that's not the market. That's Laredo is big, but bring the FAR, the Ciudad Juarez, all the other markets to cross to Colombia. Just like you said, whoever wants to go north, use that highway. Whoever wants to come to all the 50 million square feet of warehouses at Laredo, use Laredo, and things like that. So that makes a lot of sense. We should keep working together. This board, you have a lot of experience in the transportation, in the customs brokerage, Mexican and U.S., and banking. So we're here to help and make this community bigger than ourselves. What I mean is, we're not just thinking of how is it going to affect my company, how is it going to affect the whole community, and there's going to be investment opportunities for everybody in the community, and outliers and insiders. So I applaud you for that. The only thing I am asking, because it did create a little chaos when you guys were in California, and you presented it again today, the 5-minute crossing for Colombia. That you created about 10 meetings for me, and I had to bring in 3 customers from California to Laredo to show them that it's not 5 minutes. It is faster than Laredo, and I agree, but 20 minutes, it's a good number to say, 20, 30 minutes. It's a good crossing when average, but 5 minutes, I think just to cross the bridge is a little more than 5 minutes. But it's a good number, it's a good, and maybe what you're talking about, the strategy of paperless and the Tesla, maybe that's gonna be one day, that's the dream. But right now, pick it up to 20 minutes, so we don't have to clarify to our customers why we're taking 30 minutes or 20 minutes to cross.
You're right on everything, especially Ermilo, the strategy we need to see as a region. If we can get all the custom brokers on the same side, because most custom brokers have their license on Laredo and Colombia, Nuevo Laredo and Colombia. And if everyone sees the potential of making the city of Laredo more big, which is the main goal, organizing the crossings.
Correct.
Trust me, we will make this port, if we're right now number 1, we will become top all the way. If we're organizing the crossings of which product should go through which bridge, it's going to be very hard because everyone's thinking, like you said, in their own company. But we have to have a bigger vision. The big companies are going to earn more if they're organizing the crossings. So completely with you on that issue. We have to hopefully, that meeting with the coastal brokers, I'm pretty sure you guys are going to be there. Help me to transmit that we're not competing with Nuevo Laredo. We're different customers. Our customers are different with Nuevo Laredo, and la vocación de Colombia también es totalmente diferente a Nuevo Laredo. Nuevo Laredo es la capital aduanera de México. Y qué bueno, Vietnam is going to come, Nuevo Laredo. We applaud that. That's the best decision that could happen. But we're looking more of not just becoming aduaneros. We're becoming of a logistics center, which Nuevo Laredo cannot do. On the time issue, when we say 5 minutes, we're talking about the bureaucratic procedures that you need to do with the papers. It takes us 1 minute and 30 seconds to get across. When the 5 minutes, I'm not talking about the bridge. I'm talking about once you stop.
Stop and get the paper. Yeah.
Less than 90 seconds.
That's on the Mexican boat?
No, this is the American side.
No, US side. Yeah.
You have all the inspectors on the American side. That's what makes the difference. No other crossings after that.
Yeah, the problem goes out like the whole crossing is 5 minutes through Laredo, and everyone's like, why are you taking 30 minutes, or why are you... So
Well, you're right, it's 20 minutes average, the whole procedure, but the...
No, the actual, once he gets to the booth, that's I think, yeah, that's everywhere, yeah, that's a good number. Yeah, good,
And
a good
usually,
number.
also with the Senacica and
The
the agricultural issue, we already have an installation with the unit trading Garros. We should take advantage of that.
Yeah.
It's wasted there.
Bueno, a ver, Chato. ¿Cómo van a hacer las
Carlos,
preguntas?
before we get to the date on the first meeting, Doctor, before we get to the date on the news.
She's correcting me.
Yes.
The UCP processing takes less than 5 minutes. That's the way we should sell it.
That's why it says UCP.
Unified cargo processing.
Yes.
Well, I understand the customers say, hey, how come it's like...
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, that's all they hear.
I know that's the only thing I hear. They don't.
Doctor, before we get to the date on the first meeting, can you provide us any or all the studies that you've done for the Port of Columbia,
Yes.
so that we could start reading
Yes.
them and we can get to the
Definitely.
first meeting? And any other comments that anybody has?
Si hay
Carlos?
oportunidad.
Sí, adelante.
Pues Marco, felicitarte por la presentación muy clara, felicitar al gobierno de Nuevo León por este gran proyecto. Coincido en los comentarios de que no le favorece a nadie el ver una competencia entre Nuevo Laredo y Colombia. Somos una región y creo que la inversión que se haga en Colombia o se haga aquí va a beneficiar a ambos. Esto, el crecimiento que vemos en el comercio internacional comparado con la infraestructura que tenemos, no hay duda que el comercio va a dar para más, para lo que es actualmente Nuevo Laredo, para lo que es actualmente Colombia, y es más, para otro puente más. Yo creo que estos se llenan con las ampliaciones que ojalá se hagan, y aún así se van a requerir más puentes. Yo tengo solamente una pregunta. Te entendí que en diciembre ya va a estar en operación la carretera La Gloria Colombia, y bueno, aquí quiero hacer una cita que va en relación a lo que estoy viendo, que dice: la única verdad es la realidad. Y te felicito porque en la parte de lo que es la carretera La Gloria de Colombia a Estación Camarón, ya la terminaron y fue un trabajo muy rápido. Lo comentaron y lo hicieron. Felicidades por eso. El otro tramo es el que no conozco, y ahí te pregunto, de la Estación Colombia a La Gloria, ¿también lleva un avance significativo? ¿Sí estará en operación en diciembre de este año?
Sí, sí estará en operación. Ahorita si vas a Estación Camarón, es donde dices que termina Colombia con Camarón, ya vas a estar viendo que están construyendo el paso de desnivel.
Sí.
Ya lo que están construyendo, y si te asomas así y te paras, ya comienzas a ver que ya está todo, ya está empezando los trabajos desde allá, está viniendo. Yo volé hace 2 semanas, traje a un cliente importante de Nuevo León al puente. Odio volar, pero venimos en helicóptero. Ya están todas las terracerías hechas, y más del 50% ya está también en concreto. Están en marchas forzadas. O sea, la fecha límite es 31 de diciembre. El peor de los casos, el peor, si no ya ahora es enero. Pero se está trabajando, ya se expropiaron más de 300 hectáreas de ahí de una persona que se puso ahí no a modo. O sea, ya está, créeme que se hace porque se hace, no hay opción.
Qué bien.
Felicidades. No, nada más un comentario.
Mónica.
Bueno, nada más, quiero reiterar, sí, los regios somos locos, pero lo hacemos pasar. Todo lo que decimos generalmente lo hacemos pasar, así que te voy a dar la razón, somos locos. Una de las estadísticas que yo monitoreo cada mes son las exportaciones e importaciones que tenemos en Estados Unidos. Ahorita, como todos sabemos, de febrero a la fecha somos el puerto número 1 en Estados Unidos, en importación a Estados Unidos. Nos falla un poquito, nos va ganando Canadá en exportaciones. Hay más exportaciones ahorita a Colombia. Siento yo que tenemos que trabajar aunado con las expansiones y todo eso, con el gobierno y en lo que nos pueda apoyar el gobierno, porque alguna vez lo platicamos en este board y también dijimos, se oye un poco loco, pero hacer una alianza Nuevo Laredo Colombia para también poder tener un módulo adicional de Laredo en Colombia, porque la verdad es que Colombia nos ha sacado de apuros cuando hemos tenido tragedias aquí en Laredo y nos ha apoyado mucho. Entonces, el tener la opción para también poder hacer a lo mejor un campito para Laredo en Colombia, para tenerlo ya instalado para cualquier contingencia, yo creo que eso también sería algo bueno que pudiéramos ir platicando con ustedes, con el gobierno de Nuevo León, y también agregar al gobierno de Tamaulipas. ¿Seríamos el único puerto que estuviéramos en esa modalidad? Sí, pero como bien lo dijimos, somos locos y lo podemos hacer pasar.
Totalmente, ¿eh? Por eso, should I speak Spanish or English?
Lo que
Lo
tú
que
gustes,
quieras.
todos hablan español.
Totalmente. A ver, lo que acaba de decir si queremos que esto despegue, por eso yo menciono 3 Laredos. A mí ya me choca oír 2 Laredos. Somos 3 Laredos. Laredo Nuevo León, o si lo quieren decir Laredo Nuevo León, para mí es Colombia Laredo. Colombia Laredo, Nuevo Laredo y la ciudad de Laredo tienen que estar unidos en todo este proceso. Yo sé que la ciudad de Laredo no tiene problemas ni con Nuevo Laredo ni con Colombia. Nosotros no tenemos problema con Tamaulipas, con Nuevo Laredo. De repente la inercia del pasado hace pensar que hay competencia. Tenemos bien claro que son clientes diferentes, y es lo que yo quiero transmitir, es que ustedes me ayuden a sentar las bases para organizar con los agentes aduanales y las empresas cómo deben ser los cruces, cómo facilitarles más rápido los cruces. Yo ayer venía de Monterrey, pasé a las 8:15 allá por Colombia, nunca me había tocado ver una cantidad de trailers llegando a México hasta las 4 esquinas de donde se une
la 255 con el, donde baja donde está Texdot. Pero luego llego aquí a World Trade y las colas están 10 veces más. Entonces me pregunto, ¿por qué no hay una organización? Igual cuando se está saliendo la mercancía del lado mexicano acá, un caos total del lado mexicano de 8 de la mañana a 3 de la tarde, cuando hay un espacio muerto de 3 de la tarde a 11 de la noche. Nadie está usando, puedo hablar por Colombia, nadie está exportando de 3 a 11 en Colombia. ¿Por qué nadie está aprovechando ese tiempo vacío? No sé si en el puente mundial está sucediendo lo mismo, desconozco. Pero yo me pregunto, ya he estado hablando con personas de logística de Nuevo León, aprovechen ese espacio. De 3 a 11 está vacío. Como que todos están trabajando siempre con el schedule del trabajo de 8 to 5. Pues pongan otro shift de 5 a 11, aunque cueste más, van a ganar más dinero. Es que en serio, hay que como tú dices, los regios estamos locos. Hay que pensar diferente, porque si seguimos pensando igual, gracias al comercio internacional, Nuevo Laredo y Colombia están. Pero si le ponemos inteligencia, nos vamos al cielo, chico.
De acuerdo. ¿Alguien más?
No, creo que hay muchas dudas y preguntas, pero estaría bien llevarlo al tema porque podemos estar aquí 3 horas y te vamos a cambiar el plano. A lo mejor va a estar, ¿cómo se llama? Starship de Elon Musk también, seguir el aeropuerto. Ahí te vamos a dibujar cosas raras. No, pero creo que conviene mucho ese comité enfocado a temas, pero tener información actualizada antes de cada reunión para ya llegar preparados con cosas, no llegar a ver qué y la semana que no, ya poder ser algo más interactivo y poder que sea un beneficio para todos.
Excelente.
Gracias.
Bueno, go ahead, Mr. Morris.
Just in reply to, or in further to what Milo said earlier about the 5 minutes and the information that you're publicizing to the community and marketing this concept. While it's not inaccurate that it's 5 minutes for that one little portion of it, when most people think of the crossing process, they don't think of just the point where you submit a document to the official. It covers picking up the trailer and crossing to deliver the trailer to the other side, and that process is something that can take 20 or 30 minutes, not just 5. But if you only sell to them it takes 5 minutes, to the average person who hears that, they're going to think, oh, the whole crossing process from here to here takes 5 minutes, and it's not accurate. So while the information you give is not wrong, it's not complete, and so I would just encourage you to give the complete picture so that it's swallowed better by everybody.
You know what? You're giving me a great idea. We're going to give the information by time frames. From 8 to 10 a.m., 30 minutes. So they can visualize also the opportunities they have on different times for the crossings. I love that.
This study already CBP has it. Let me try to get it so I can share with you, because there's already a study with the time frame. I don't know if Yvette has it, but there's the waiting time on each hour of the day.
Or if you allow me, we're gonna start Monday to start measuring the time from the toll booths to we're gonna, let's see how we can plan it out, Carlos, to start measuring from the toll booths once they get it to the cargo processing. How long does it take?
I know
from the Mexican side.
Carlos already had that with his trucks, and it's a very good information on the crossing time every day.
¿Tú ya la tienes, compadre?
Yes.
Sí.
Well, I'm sure we have a lot of information that we can share on our first meeting. Yeah, we're already going into
the details. Can we put a date after the meeting for the, yes.
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Why are you all not open on Sundays?
Federal government.
The government?
Federal government still has us as a border aduana tipo 2 or tipo B instead of tipo 1 or tipo A. So we're loving to change that, but unfortunately, Mexican bureaucracy, sometimes when you're working and you're getting to the top, they change the head. So in aduanas, they had changed 3 times the top guy, and we almost got the approval, and the guy leaves. So we're concentrating on, we're only asking to have the same hours of operation as Nuevo Laredo. That's what we're asking, the same hours, not more, no less.
Well, because right now, if I may, On the World Trade, we're open till midnight, and we're open on Sundays. And a lot of times we do have crossings on Sundays, but Columbia crossings are 0. And
Yes.
I think that if we're talking about investing in expanding, I think we should also expand our hours, because that we don't have to spend as much money on as far. And I'm all in favor of an expansion. Like, I think that make the bridges that we have more efficient. I'm all in favor of expanding both. But it does concern me that we're not getting that Sunday revenue, because it's also a loss for us too, because we have investment in that area. Our hazardous materials trade bridge, that's where we're trying to expand that port to be something, and I think it's important for us to have that Sunday. Is there any plans to get that?
We're loving, and we also have special, ¿cómo se dice? Cuando la pedimos en domingo. We have extraordinary service, which we have to, lo tenemos que avisar cuántos días antes. Aduanas is very flexible, the Mexican authority, even though it's not open on Sundays. If we have extraordinary services required, they will approve, but unfortunately, like you said, people have the idea that it's closed. So they don't know that they can have an extraordinary service comply with or approved. So we have to make more advertisement while we get the federal government approved to be open on a Sunday basis.
I think that, if I may, I think that for this to be a more complete plan, I think of expansion, I think we would have to include a plan for that.
Okay.
Because you can't do one and ignore the other. We have to do them together. So as we're working towards a physical expansion, I think we need to also have that hourly expansion, because we can accommodate that very easily on our end. And we would definitely see an increase in revenues on both sides. Not only that, we would have those hazardous crossings on Sundays and things like that. So I think that if we can incorporate that into the expansion plan so that we target like opening on Sundays within 6 months from now, and then we have the expansion set for, it could take up to 8 years on our end to get approval, or 5 years, or however long the government gives us the approval once we make the application. But that would definitely give an expansion in a shorter period of time. And it would show commitment, I think, and more stability for both sides to have that 7 days.
I think they're at the mercy of the federal government, as we are also, right?
Right.
Yeah, so I
think they're working on that. That's what
Yeah,
they're
you guys are working on it every time there's a new head of the department, so.
Yeah.
It should be part of it.
It is part.
Yeah.
I just wanted to comment on that, because I know that I questioned it before, like, why does we get 0 on Sundays? And I think it's an issue.
Thank you, Council Member. Dr. Gonzalez, thank you very much for your presentation. Thank you for your time.
Guys. And I'm ready for the next meeting.
And we'll put a time for that next meeting.
información
I will send you the information.
se puede compartir.
Sí.
Esta
Claro que sí.
información.
Ms. Limon?
Gracias.
Ma'am, can you get the presentation for us? Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you
Muchas
very
gracias.
much. Gracias a
Buen
todos.
día.
Okay, gracias.
Great job.
Next item in the agenda, discussion with possible action to support the tomato suspension agreement to avoid significant duties that would apply to most importer tomatoes from Mexico and any other matters incident thereto. Is there anybody here that would like to speak on that, or do we table it? Muchas gracias. Thank you, sir.
If I may.
Yes.
I texted I was talking to Mr. Lindgren, and he said he had a conflict and they weren't able to send anyone, but he did state that he had sent the information, and if anybody wanted to discuss it without him, if not, he could discuss it at the next meeting, because he had a conflict.
So you all want to discuss it? You all want to table it? Motion?
Well, I came to kind of hear about it, if anybody knows what's going on, because I see significant duties, and I'm thinking, what is going on? So does anybody have any information on it? I don't know.
Basically, they added duties on Mexico, and that's what we know, and they want to remove them.
But it's on the Mexican side, from what I understand, no?
No, it's on the
Is
U.S.
it both
side.
sides?
U.S. side. The U.S. tomato company.
U.S. tomato market.
But, he's the one that has all the details, and he's the one that wanted to support.
We table it?
For the next,
Yeah.
Motion.
Motion to table for the next meeting.
Motion to table by Mr. Laurel
Second.
for the next meeting. Second by Orfelio, or by
whatever.
Mr. Garza. Any discussion?
No.
No? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Majority, motion carries. Third one, discussion with possible action to synchronize the traffic lights on Mines Road and any other matters incident thereto. Mr. Carlos Fernandez, would you like to?
Gracias. Hemos visto un cuello de botella en la intersección de Green Ranch, si es correcto, ya para llegar a Pinnacle, y algo parecido a lo que comentaba Vanessa, de aprovechar lo que ya tenemos como antes de una ampliación, pues ver los horarios. Creo que también aplica en este caso ese semáforo, porque esa luz ocasiona que no opere la infraestructura que tenemos actualmente al 100%, por una sola luz. Y a simple vista, tampoco quiero asegurar, es algo que se puede mejorar. Y que igualmente, no lo quiero asegurar, pero creo que con muy baja inversión, que sería básicamente sincronizar los tiempos de las luces de paso, de warning y de stop en relación al tráfico de vehículos. Me ha tocado ver que hay una línea enorme, sobre todo yendo de Laredo a Colombia. Me ha tocado esa fila enorme, enorme, y al llegar al crucero no hay tráfico para la intersección. Entonces mi comentario sería revisar ese punto, porque se ve incongruente, vaya, que una luz nos bloquee la infraestructura actual.
Any other comments from anybody else?
I see it as an issue in multiple lights, that being the main one.
Es
but-
correcto, sí.
But it's multiple lights, and I see the police officer at every light, but most of the times they're in their cars, not, just visually being there. But I think there has to be something done to synchronize completely, because it's very frustrating for me to drive 3.9 miles in over 30, 40, 50 minutes to get to my home.
Mr. Morris?
As you all know, we had a Mines Road Mobility Group that operated starting at the first of this year through about July to address the issues. And the first issue that we addressed was the synchronization of the lights. And I can say, and I will, to the councilwoman, I'll just say, I've had multiple conversations with Robert Pena, who is the director, or the acting director for the city traffic safety, who oversees the lights, and suggesting that we just need to synchronize those. His comments always are, we need to pay for a study, we need to study and find somebody to tell me that we need to synchronize the lights.
Why don't you just synchronize them? What's the problem with studies and tests and stuff?
And I've talked to him multiple times, I've talked to people over him trying to get the encouragement for him to do that. And what I believe is the case maybe is that the reward for doing something well is very minimal. And the consequence if you fail at something with the city is that it's a major, and he's afraid to fail. So we need to somehow or other encourage him to be able to make some changes to these and then tweak them until they get right, without the possibility of being punished if he doesn't do it right.
Vanessa, is that something that you can help us with? I mean, it shouldn't be a, let's study it. Why don't we just do it?
Yeah.
The studies just take more time and it wastes more tax dollars.
Yeah, so this has been like a topic of contention for a while. And I was going back to my text with Mr. Pena, August 23rd. I had a lot of, so I get tagged by residents whenever there's an issue also, right? And so I was like tagged on Facebook that there was an issue with that particular light. So I messaged Mr. Peña, and he was like, we are aware we had storm damage that took out the detection system, okay? Then I asked him for a public announcement, and he said as soon as we have a full assessment and their technicians were there. But then I continued to get messages about it, and then he says that's not plausible. We had to recall the services, which means it's providing maximum time, and then they found a busted cable that might not have been storm related, because people are saying it was happening for a long time. And so I really couldn't get like a straight answer. I did ask for a notice, and it never went out. So this was something that I brought up to our city manager as far as like the communication and the working on this particular intersection. I cannot tell you because Mr. Peña is not here, so I can't speak for him. And I did text and ask why he's not here, but it doesn't look like anyone from traffic's coming. So I apologize on behalf of the city for that, that nobody's here. So I'm just gonna try to answer it as best as I can. I know that Mr. Peña, the police used to override the lights manually, but he requested that we not give the police that authority because they were doing like a full system resynchronization based on, I'm not exactly sure what. And so he assured me that it would flow better, but then we had an issue at that particular Green Ranch light. And so I don't know if it's still there. I mean, I'm sorry, I stop right before, I stop at the Muller light. I don't get that far north unless I'm making my rounds. And I haven't gone out there since August 25th, admittedly. But I'm not sure if the light is still being an issue there or not. Supposedly they were there that day fixing it. I never got a report back. So I am gonna address these issues, and I don't know what else to tell you all as far as the synchronization. I know that TxDOT, my understanding is that it's a whole system flow, so they have to kind of like have all the lights work together. But I told Mr. Peña that even on a Sunday, I mean, I'll stop at one and then I'll stop at another and I'll stop at another. Like, I can't even get through more than one light on a non-traffic day. And his response was, well, we're not studying that. And then when school traffic started up after summer, it was like, well, we didn't take into account the school traffic. So my apologies, I don't have a solid answer for you all, but I do know that this is an issue. And believe me, I've been asking and asking and asking about it, and it looks like we haven't hit it quite right yet. But I do know it's the city's responsibility at the end of the day to get this right. And TxDOT also has a part in it because it's their roadway, but my understanding is they're contracting with a firm to do a study for a full synchronization, but that doesn't mean that we have to wait for the study results to tweak at our end. So there's all these things happening at once, and it seems like we haven't hit it quite right yet.
So this is what I've learned, that this Green Ranch residential people wanted that light because there was been a lot of accidents there.
Mm-hmm.
But what Mr. Fernandez is really trying to say is they need to prioritize Mines Road. They'll let them in, but in a smaller time frame. And they're gonna get in, but it's just gonna take a little bit longer for them to get in a safe way through Mines Road. But they need to prioritize the movement of traffic, whatever's on top of Mines Road. That's basically what he's trying to say, and I agree about the safety, and we have to work with everybody, but
Yeah.
we need to synchronize, and apparently Mr. Peña does not have the power to do that, or doesn't have the
does.
knowledge. That's what
He
it
does?
looks like.
He does have
He
the
does,
power.
but he doesn't have the.
The what?
It goes back to
What?
the fear of failure.
What do we need to direct? Like,
I
what
would
does
just
he
make the
need?
suggestion that when we had the police that are directing the traffic, it helped tremendously. And so, we understand that maybe he is trying to do some synchronization, but it's not working, and until he can get it to work, I would suggest that we allow the police to direct traffic at those intersections. Green Ranch, and some of the other ones that are heavy issues during heavy traffic, and let the police go and direct the traffic until the city can actually do something with synchronization, whether it's after a study or whether they decide to actually do some work and tweak things to make it work. But to not let us make it, because with the police intervention, it was working pretty well. And so if we can get that back until he can decide to do his job properly, then.
I just have a clarification question. So you're saying that the issue is that the trucks are stopped there too long to allow the passenger traffic to go?
Yes, the
And there's
side,
no- and there's no traffic coming.
The Green Ranch neighborhood.
Sí, a mí me ha tocado la línea por las minas
Okay.
de Laredo a Colombia, llega hasta Pan American, está todo bloqueado, y al llegar al semáforo de Green Ranch, te das cuenta que ahí es el cuello de botella. Se pone verde para la línea de los camiones, pasan 5 camiones, se pone en rojo. Se pone en verde para la intersección de Green Ranch, cruza 1 o 2 carros y se queda 20 o 30 segundos, no sé, sin carros. O sea, ahí, digo, se ve muy fácil desde aquí. Entiendo que hay horarios, que hay días de la semana, que se tiene que hacer un estudio, pero a simple vista se ve, déjale más tiempo a la línea de los camiones y menos tiempo a la línea de los carros.
We counted.
No quiero asegurar, o sea, lo digo muy fácil, entiendo que se
We counted 11 seconds at ITC for trailer traffic to turn or to cross or to do anything. So one day we were stuck during lunchtime coming back, and I sat through 5 lights. And obviously we know that an 18-wheeler takes a long time. They rev up and go and move. 10 seconds, it was 2 trailers and then stop. And then the side traffic going in and out. And then another 10, 12 seconds, 2 more trailers, and hombre, we were there forever. So it took 5 lights just to get through ITC.
Understood.
So it's not just Green Ranch, it's all up and down, but we did the first step of getting the trailers off of Mines Road, which was, I commend you for it, it was a good plan, but now we have to make sure that everything flows, whatever's there.
Robert, what do you mean that the police to direct traffic? I mean, to override manually the
Yeah, so-
lights, or because, I mean, we've heard also that the police is there, but it's hard for them to control
Well, no, so-
the truck.
There's 2 issues. One, that they can be there and their presence is there, and that maybe will help the trucks not stop in the middle of the intersection. But what we're talking about is, at those lights, there's a big gray box, and those police officers
can
can
only-
actually connect to that with a
Okay.
cable, and they can even sit in their car with the cable on it, and they can manually control
So that would be your.
And that's what they did for a while, and that was
it
what was
worked.
working, but the cities, well, Mr. Peña specifically said, please don't do that because you're affecting my ability to synchronize these lights, although, the synchronization is not where it needs to be.
Understood.
Okay.
So you want to make a motion, or what do you want to do?
What's the
The
recommend
motion
the-
was
the-
just to synchronize. You want to add something to the motion?
Well, I make a motion that we insist that the city's traffic department really work seriously to synchronize, and that they make daily or by however often changes until we can tweak it to get it to be right.
I don't understand why we have to ask for that, like what, that's part of their job.
Well, they don't work there. They don't travel to there. That's why we have to let them know.
Yeah, no, I understood, it's frustration.
And that's
I
just-
think the key also is to, what Robert was mentioning is, Councilman, if it's possible, to get the police to help during these rough hours of business especially,
Yes.
to get the traffic through. You know, we get corporate that wants to come down all the time, and we're looking for another location over there, but it's, you know, it's tough going out there and coming back. You're just stuck there for hours, and you waste almost half a morning. I don't want to be that exaggerated, but once you start to go into the different parks, it takes half a day. If you want to go into different parks because of the lights and the tractor trailer. I mean, it's a good problem, but there's just no flow.
Point of order real quick. I
Peak
just
hours.
want to clarify the motion and then also clarify what you're exactly referring to when you say rough hours, just so I can.
Peak hours.
The
Peak
peak
hours?
hours,
So-
basically, of
8 to 6. Those are the peak hours. There's no peak. That's
4
the-
to 4 to 8, 4 p.m. to 8 p.m.,
Probably 3.
I think
Probably
it's
11
more,
a.m. to 3.
A little earlier, yeah.
Probably 2:30 or 3.
I'd say 3 to 9.
Even to 7 would fix it, I think.
3 to 7.
3 to 7.
Peak hours.
And the motion is motion to insist that the traffic department.
That they actually begin to work on
Link-
synchronizing
link
the lights
synchronized
and tweak them regularly until they can get it right. And until they do that, allow the police to do the direction, to keep the
In the
flow moving.
meantime, right?
Yeah.
Is there something that
Is
could
there a
trigger?
second to that motion?
Say that again?
Robert,
Is
there
there something that could trigger if there was an issue that automatically for the police to go out there, something to trigger for them to go if there's a problem? Even if once they get them synchronized, because maybe there could be more traffic at one time than another, but just to relieve.
They're there.
Just a point of
They're
order.
there every
There's
day.
no
But they're
second.
not.
We
Point
need,
of
before
order.
we discuss, we need to have a second to my motion.
Second.
Second, yeah.
Second by Mr. Hinojosa. Ahora sí, discussion.
They have cameras, and they do monitor. Not sure what their schedule is like and how they do that. I know that police officers do end up at the Muller light just automatically now, because I know that was an issue for a while, getting that program set up, but they still are there.
Yeah.
Maybe you need to move them to the other light.
No, they're there. They're at both. They're at Muller, they're at ITC, and they're at Killam.
Today they're there, but they're not connected to they're not.
They
manually
might be
controlling
there,
it.
but they're not moving traffic, or they might not be collecting lights, but the police car and with somebody in it is there.
Well, I know that the director, Mr. Peña, did request that the police officers not override the lights while he's trying to set up a synchronization program. So that was my feedback recently when I spoke to him.
Yeah.
So as part of this motion, I will let them know that you guys are requesting something different.
Or if he
Allowing
could,
them
or
to
or if he
synchronize.
could give the date of when he's gonna synchronize them, so we don't have the police doing it.
Right.
I mean,
So the motion is to ask traffic department to synchronize and in peak hours manually let the police handle the traffic lights? Is that the motion? Mr. Morris?
I would just clarify that, that we do want the synchronization, whatever they have to do to synchronize it. But in the meantime,
correct.
let the police do it manually. We don't want the police do it manually forever,
Right.
right? Just to clarify that, right?
Yeah, because they
Yes.
don't have enough
And I
manpower
guess
either to be
I
just
guess to
doing
talk to
lights.
each other at what time that he's gonna synchronize it so the police are not there.
So Amigos, can I make a suggestion as listening in? That you ask the city manager, who the traffic department works for, to execute what you just said. Because if you ask the traffic department, he's gonna say, well, what he's been saying, ask the city manager. That would be my suggestion.
Thank you.
Yeah, my
Good
my
point. Thank
intent,
you, sir.
my intent with the motion would be to communicate with the city manager on the wishes today, so he can address it.
And for the record, I have spoken to the city manager on this specific issue, and he said, I'll take it under consideration.
Oh, that's great.
But if something from this committee were to be put before him, he may take it with some more seriousness.
So, going back to the motion, Mr.
So
Morris?
the motion, as I recall it, is
Motion to ask the city
to
manager.
ask the
City manager
city manager
Synchronize the
to insist that
to insist
Robert Peña specifically
the traffic
synchronize the
department
lights. Traffic department synchronize the lights.
to synchronize.
But not just one time, but to continuously be syncing them and tweaking them until they actually work. However
To
you want to say that.
continuously be monitoring the
And
lights,
updating or tweaking until it gets right.
monitoring.
And then are you gonna add to, in the meantime,
And during peak
Peak
hours,
hour.
allow for
And
the
during-
police
and
to
during
override those lights so that they can work, so we can get
peak
traffic flowing.
hours.
Mhm.
Manually?
That's the only way they can do it.
Manually override the lights. Okay, so the motion is to request the city manager to direct traffic department to synchronize the, the traffic lights
Along Mines Road,
along Mines Road and to manually,
And meanwhile,
in the meantime,
during peak hours,
during peak hours, to override the lights.
to allow the police to override
Override
those
the
lights
lights.
to keep the flow moving.
So there
until
was
it's
a motion, there's a
synchronized?
second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. And the last item, so discussion with possible action to create a work group for the expansion of the World Trade Bridge and any matters incident thereto. It's basically the same
The
thing.
same thing.
And
Colombia, right?
to work with Sid and get this thing done. Motion?
Motion.
What would be?
Motion, Orfelio?
To create?
Motion
To create.
to create the group for the World Trade expansion.
Second.
Second.
What would that work group do? What would the focus be?
Well, this, I think it's the same thing as what we're talking about, the Nuevo León, Colombia.
To push it. That's what it is.
Help push,
Help
expand.
push.
Yeah, I will say to keep track of the timeline that they are committed and check all the studies since we don't have any study on hand and just keep pushing, like.
To be the
Don't
squeaky
just
wheel,
let
so
them
to
just
speak.
leave every month, like.
Que pasar la llanta que rechina.
You want to make a comment, Sid?
La rancha que rechina es lo que recibe la grasa.
Sid is the.
For the record, my name is Sid Milkey with Structural Engineering Associates. The project is moving forward pretty rapidly right now. I mean, not as rapidly as we'd hoped, but there's a lot of pieces that are actually moving at the same time, and we're trying to bring more pieces online at the same time. If the committee wants more input or more information, I can certainly provide updates on a more regular basis at this point. But I mean, the project is moving forward. We're getting the support that we need from the city staff to keep the project moving. Our Congress and our senators have been working to get the presidential permit moving forward, and that's well going on. We have our working group with the state of Tamaulipas already established, and we're working to have another meeting and moving that forward. So a lot of things are happening, and I think that project is moving forward, and it is going at a very rapid pace compared to other projects that have happened in the past. But if it's a desire of the committee to know more, be more up to date, be appraised at an earlier time, we can certainly provide more updates and meet with you and others, or on a regular basis if you would like to keep everybody informed. I mean, at this point, I think I don't want to say a committee will not help, but it may, unfortunately, it may also hinder if the issues get the correct information is not put forward to the group. As you were talking about the crossing times earlier, it was not there. Nobody's been specific about where that 5 minutes is. Well, the same issue could happen as we're moving forward with World Trade expansion, that if the right information, the correct information is not transmitted, there may be confusion, there may be a lot of other things that happen. So I'm not going to say that this group could not set up a separate working group to assist or to be aware of what's happening, but I would offer that we could also update this committee on a more regular basis than we have. I know I haven't been to the committee in a while, and I'm here today because of the interest in Colombia and coordinating what we're doing at World Trade with all the expansion possibilities there at Colombia. So that would be my input. I'm not going to say no, yes or no, but we could definitely provide more updated information on a regular basis, on a more regular basis, if that's what the committee would like to see.
Mr. Chairman, when is our next meeting, and could he possibly present like the previous gentleman?
Next meeting is October. I turned it off, sorry.
Sorry.
The first
First Thursday of October?
Or Thursday of.
Didn't we say we're gonna meet every 2 months?
See, this is a special meeting.
Okay, so this, you're not counting for the,
This one's a special.
we're going back to the.
This one's because of the.
See, we had
Chairman.
yes.
If I may, Yvette
Yes.
Limon for the record, I believe you had said October 11th for a meeting because you have the
Yes,
representatives from the Port of Corpus Christi
Yes.
coming to present.
October 11th, sorry, yes.
Can we, sir, can you give us an update then?
As far as I know.
Yeah.
You can do it
it's
by
enough time.
phone
Right,
also.
for the record, I do provide you the monthly updates as they provide it to me. I email it to you all, so you do get the monthly updates of the expansion project. I don't know, he can definitely present in the October meeting,
Yeah, I don't know.
but I don't
That's
know what
whatever
other
everybody's
information
looking
you
for.
would like
Does
to
everybody
receive.
agree to getting updates instead of forming a committee?
But just a question. When we just put this item on the agenda, are we looking just to get updates, or are we looking for this working group to push to see if we can move faster than we are moving right now?
Well,
Because there's two different things. Updates are one thing, and the working group, so we can get the things done at a faster pace, or maybe be aware, not until we meet until the next month and have an update.
I
So-
think that this project is,
I can,
and correct me if I'm wrong, sir,
we have
but
18
this project is way more far along than what we were just looked at. This project is a perfect timing to get in and help push at the same time. But here, we would probably be trying to catch up to them.
Correct.
To be able to help. At the same time, like you said, we could be hindering. So I don't know if we've missed our chance to get on our front, in the front of this.
Yeah, I believe the committee would be just informational wise. I think there's both the Laredo and the Tamaulipas committees already put together to work on the project. So they're working already together on the construction plans and everything. So I think it's more for information and updates than push.
So it's for that, we don't need an extra committee.
I
We already have it.
I don't think we need an extra committee for this. But I mean, for Port Colombia, we're at the right time, at the right place to help
Correct.
in the
So,
growing. of
and we
this.
can't push time, and things
No.
have to be done in a
There's a
certain
process.
matter, and there's a process to them. But if we can get updates as things move along, we'll be okay, I think.
Then I'll drop the motion.
Arturo, en el caso de Colombia, se habló de hacer un grupo para ver los temas de la expansión en Colombia, donde va a participar la parte mexicana. Aquí es algo similar, pero el grupo nada más incluiría la parte americana. ¿Lo estoy entendiendo bien? ¿No será conveniente incluir a la parte mexicana? De hecho, yo tenía una pregunta para Sid
Sid, yeah,
So that was-
there's a question.
Wait,
Sid.
Mr. Ceballos.
That was going to be my point, and Yvette had something to say as I was going to jump in, but el punto que se está tratando el día de hoy, o el que se acaba de mencionar, incluir la parte mexicana, porque empezamos ya
Sí.
el enlace con lo que se tiene que hacer del lado mexicano. It would be very important that the Mexican counterparts that are part of this working group are actually as involved or more involved than they have been. She was going to actually clarify that. So if that piece is already there, you don't have to replicate it or duplicate it. But if it's missing, this would be the group that can actually help integrate themselves into this working group. Because on the American side, like, that's not something I can do, right? And if there's a gap, that's where I think this group can help.
No, and just to clarify, there is a Mexican group already established by the governor.
Pero que sea como quedó en Colombia, que este grupo incluya las dos partes para que el seguimiento sea completo. ¿De qué sirve darle seguimiento nada más a un lado?
Pues no podemos
If I may.
Yes, go ahead. We can't
At this
speak for the
point,
Mexican,
at this point, we're moving forward with the
Okay.
expansion of world trade. The presidential permit application has been submitted. The design is being worked on. We have the interagency group meeting with the folks on the U.S. side, and we have the same with the folks on the Mexican side. I know you all,
Okay.
thank you, you were very instrumental in getting these individuals to make contact with us. The MOU between the governor and the mayor has been executed. That is done, so we're moving forward with the expansion for world trade. Now, going back to the Colombia expansion, this is something new. The city still needs to enter into contract with someone so that we can begin the preparation of the presidential permit application and follow the same process that we did for the expansion of world trade. So we can't run them parallel because we're way ahead of the game for the expansion of world trade, and now we need to start the same process with Colombia to expand the bridge and then work with CBP so that if the I guess the addition of more lanes on the bridge span what infrastructure will CBP need for processing in their facilities. So possibly also look into entering into a donation acceptance project and work with CBP. So we will get all those preliminary meetings in place to begin the preparation for Columbia, but we will include you all as our meetings are created.
Thank you. Can you state your motion again, Monica, can you state your motion again? Can
Well,
you
the
repeat the motion?
The motion, it was to make a working group to see to see or to help to push the timeline on the World Trade expansion bridge. But now we just amend the motion to have
Timelines?
timelines more often on the updates on the World Trade Bridge.
Okay, we will. If you prefer it, I'll get with Sid and their team. And if you prefer to get updates sooner than every month, then I'll work with them and see how much progress they have.
I think, I mean, if they're relevant, it could be by email, or
Sure.
it could be in the next meeting.
Sure, no.
Monthly updates are what
I
we
think
need.
so.
It's not moving 100 miles per hour, guys. It's
It's not going to move monthly.
exactly. It's not moving monthly,
So-
and this is a topic we've been talking about. Every single meeting comes up that we need updates. We need updates. Mr. Sid's been here 5 times in the last 12 months.
So then what is the
So-
update?
so
When
Sid-
is it gonna start?
So I should be, I know Jim King is probably wrapping up. We're entering the month of September. This is around the time that we get there. It would be the August update. So as soon as I receive it from them, I email it to the committee members and have them review the situation of where we're at with the expansion. Now, assisting in getting the presidential permit, things are rolling. Congressman Cuellar, Senator Cruz came in. They already have the legislation in place through the National Defense Act, Authorization Act. That's in place. We have the city lobbyist, Aiken Gump, they've been instrumental in assisting and getting us the approval for the presidential permit. So things are moving along, but I would gladly provide you whatever information I have so that you all are aware.
Do you know by any chance what span of time that they're looking at getting the approval for the permit? Because without that, you can't move anything, right?
We
Do you?
should be hearing something by December, right? Okay, sure.
If I may, this is something that is in our report that's being finalized. I reviewed it last night, as a matter of fact, for our report in August to Yvette for the project. Not only World Trade Bridge, but there are 2 bills that are actually pending right now. One of them is the National Defense Authorization Act that Senator Cruz was successful in inserting language into. And what it basically says is there are bridges in Texas, and he names Laredo as one city. He names Eagle Pass as another city. And the thing about the language is it says multiple bridges in Laredo. It says a bridge in Eagle Pass and a bridge in Cameron County that have submitted presidential permit applications. What that bill also says is when this bill passes and is signed by the president, the Secretary of State has 30 days in order to determine the benefit to the nation and issue that report to the president, which is what normally was supposed to happen. Basically, that bill is telling the Secretary of State to move forward and get it done. After that, the president has 30 days, I believe, after that to say yes or no for the presidential permit. So in theory, there's about a 90-day window from the time the bill passes to when we would expect to receive the World Trade Bridge presidential permit. Right now, that bill has been passed by the Senate, but there's a separate bill that has been passed by the House. That bill will have to go to conference committee between now and, I'm going to say, Christmas time. They've been on their recess up until, I think they're still in recess. But hopefully the conference committee will get back between now and Thanksgiving. That bill will be reconciled, can be passed by both houses again officially and sent to the president. And we're believing that that language is going to stay in there because it involves no funding, it involves nothing other than organizing the procedure and telling the executive branch to do things they're already supposed to do and telling them to get them done now. It also says that in review of the presidential permit, they should not take into account or slow down things because of the environmental clearance. It can be done simultaneously.
Oh, good.
Congressman Cuellar also has language which is kind of now the next step, if you will, that he's put in the appropriations bill for basically the Department of State and some other agencies that is also moving forward. And it basically implements for the next go around, if you will, this same procedure to take out, to eliminate what happened with this administration where they put the environmental clearance as a mandate before they would even look at your permit. So that bill, again, is only coming out of the House right now. I believe the Senate also has another separate bill, and they will have to go to conference committee and be passed sometime, hopefully, between now and January. That particular bill is actually holding up a lot of things because it's not being passed, and that keeps GSA, CBP, and other folks from traveling and being at meetings and so forth and so on. So that's actually an authorization act that we hope to be passed pretty quickly. The other thing I was going to comment on is Senator Cruz's bill actually has a stipulation that any other permits, applications that are submitted between now, when the bill is passed, and December 31st, 2024, shall receive this same treatment. So that if the city of Laredo is able to work through this working group and gets a consultant on board, makes a preparation of the application and submits it between today, tomorrow, the next day, and December 31st of next calendar year, it should receive the same treatment. So there's a window of opportunity for Columbia to occur much more rapidly than it took us with World Trade Bridge to get to this point. And the other benefit is the state of Nuevo Leon is already at the table, whereas it took us a while for us to get the next governor from the state of Tamaulipas and work through that process, so get our sponsor put together for World Trade Bridge. So things are coming together pretty well for Columbia, but there is a time limit associated with it that if you didn't know about it, I just want to make sure everybody knew about it.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Mr. Morris? Yeah.
We covered the points that I was going to
Okay.
cover. Basically, though, it's, the status is that the environmental permit and the presidential permit. And if there's anything that we can do, maybe to push those with the environment, because I've been on this committee now for 2 years, almost 2 years, and the status has been waiting on the environmental permit. And we still have 4 months to go to the end of the year, and you said maybe they'll have it in December for us. If we get it in December and we get the permit, so with these bills that are passing with Senator Cruz, it's all going to come together in December anyway, unless there's a way that we can push the environmental permit process along.
We're moving it forward. It's not, it hasn't been waiting. The city has been moving, authorized us to move forward with the president's, with the environmental clearance process. We've already made our initial submittal last month of our first submittal through that process, and we call them modules, but they're different areas of study. It's not beneficial to do the whole study and then submit the whole report. We found it to be much more efficient to set a schedule, which we've done, and we've just adjusted it again, that TxDOT and the Federal Highway Administration know they're going to receive these modules, and we're submitting some every month so that they're reviewed. They have a time limit. They have agreed to review it, send us comments, and work through those. So the process is moving forward. And we are starting our schedule. It's not stopping. We're about 18 months away from where we anticipate having a FONSI, which is the key or the end result of the environmental clearance process. That's what turns loose of the final permitting and then allows you to advertise for bids and go to construction. So in between that, in the next 18 months, we're also going to be starting, we need to come to the city council and get approval to do the construction plans, the PS&E package. That's the one piece, and the construction phase services. We don't have under contract yet. But we're still moving forward. Environmental is moving forward. The time clock is moving on getting that FONSI.
And your firm is doing that study?
Our firm is doing it, yes, sir. It's been going on in the background.
Then maybe we can amend the deal to include the
It's
Columbia
already
thing.
amended, it's been in motion, we're just in discussion.
Yeah, all right, so maybe we can discuss this idea with Columbia in mind, and knowing that we were trying to get a permit. We want to go towards expansion in Columbia possibly, and knowing that it takes, apparently, if it's been 2 years since I've been on the committee, we still have 18 months to go before you can expect that study to be finished. That's 3.5 years. Maybe you can sit and help us to understand why it takes 4 years to get a permit, so we can plan ahead
Well,
for that on the
I say
Columbia.
that's what we were asking for initially, is he can sit down with us and tell us
Yes.
at the next meeting,
Mhm.
instead of giving us a somewhat of an update right now.
Sí.
I would be welcome to give you an update because we hope to have more information to update
Good.
on World Trade Bridge.
Yes.
Because I think we're gonna have another meeting, and there are members in our working group with the state of Tamaulipas that are on this committee too, so we're not trying to do anything in a vacuum. It's just that there are a lot of puzzle pieces moving at the time, and so I'm constantly in contact with my team members and federal agencies, and oftentimes I don't think about trying to, we do it monthly in written form, but I don't think about necessarily trying to advise all the groups that may be very interested in it because it is an important project. We would certainly provide some input, if you will, in response to questions that the committee may have relative to Columbia. It's another important project, but there is a timeline that's right there now, so we would like to help where we can, but we're focusing right now on World Trade Bridge, and the environmental process is moving.
Yes.
There's a
Councilman.
lot of pieces that took us to get to this point that we had no control over, so I think we're moving as fast as we can now.
Councilmember,
Move
you
to
want
close.
so-
I had a question for Ms. Limon, if I can.
For who?
Ms.
Ms.
Limon.
Limon.
And then
Hi, Ms. Limon.
I'll ask
Just
for the
a
question.
question about this process, starting this process all over again with Columbia. We hadn't started it at all, right? So we'd be starting again from scratch. Can you refresh the committees with the process, like time frame for us to get the study started, to get to the point, and then, I mean, not the whole process, just quickly, right? If you can, just tell us what we need to do to get started, and then how much money we're looking at to start. What is it gonna cost us, more or less?
Okay, we need to,
Hold on, I think Mr. Dominguez has something.
I think in the work week, we can work that out. We have a
Okay.
lot of information. We've
Okay.
been in the expansion committee, and
Okay.
we know the whole process. We even have the consultants for the Mexican
Okay.
side. Because, I mean, just for everybody's knowledge, it's very different, the state of Tamaulipas to Nuevo Leon. They're going with the military. I don't think Colombia is gonna do that, so I think Colombia can be even built faster than Laredo because of how the
I'm-
governments work.
Perhaps.
I'm
But
just
we-
looking
we
at
still-
feasibility,
we
like, is it
still
a
need
million,
to-
is it?
No, we have to have more meetings before even getting to the expansion. We need to talk to customs, what they need on
Right.
this side before they can expand that bridge.
and the city needs to enter into contract with someone so that they can come in from day one so that they know what they're gonna be working on for the presidential permit application, to submit it, work with CBP to do a donation acceptance. You know, if the city's gonna fund it, I mean, I don't foresee GSA funding this. So if the city's gonna fund the facilities for CBP, GSA, then we would need to meet with them and hear their needs so that we can do all of this together and adequately, so that once the construction of the bridge span is complete, their facilities can be suitable to receive the volume of traffic that is anticipated.
Yeah, my concern is that, you know, the cost of a bridge is very expensive, right? And so let's just say we're facing two expansions, we may have to prioritize one over the other, or do we want to start working on accumulating funding for both of them to move forward at the same time? Or do we want to move forward with Columbia because the paperwork's ready, but then we don't have the money for the World Trade?
This is
These are-
something that we do need to discuss with the city manager and the finance director to see what the financial advisor
Yeah.
suggests
So I
we
think
do.
that's kind of the vision, like where are we headed is, but I think that's important for you guys to let us know what
Yes.
your input is.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yep. So I'll ask for the question. The motion is to amend the motion to get more frequent updates or the timelines on the World Trade Express Bridge. Is that it?
Yes,
Yes.
and maybe we can add that, I'm not sure, it doesn't have to be in presence. We can have those by email.
Yeah.
And it's more beneficial for us if we have that information on an email before the meeting, so we can go through the information and have our questions already, like,
And there might not be something every month, but if there's something that happens, if you can just let us know that we finished the environmental, or we're starting this, or we're starting that, and I mean, whatever is going on. that's just- Yeah, relevant information, we will take anything that you give us, Sid.
Move
And-
to adjourn.
No, the motion,
Second first.
all those in
Second.
favor to the updates?
Yeah, aye.
I,
Motion carries. Next meeting is October the 11th, como dijo Ms. Limon. October 11th, you want to write it down? And I'll make the motion to,
Mr. President, I'm gonna be excused for that meeting, I'm on a trip. I'm coming back, at what time is gonna be the meeting, to see if I
at
can.
10 o'clock. 10 o'clock.
What
I
day?
guess I'll make it, but I'm gonna be excused myself, but motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second. I didn't think anybody was gonna say that. Thank you.
Lunchtime.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ms. Limon, thank you.